All right. Hello, everyone. If anybody can hear me out there in YouTube land, can you put something in the chat to make sure that I'm getting out? Appreciate everyone attending. Looks like we've got about 38, 40 people in attendance. That's great. Welcome to the November SLSRC meeting. I'm Kyle, AA0Z, your current president. Hope you and your family are safe as the virus ramps up more. You got to please wear a mask when you're out in public to help slow the spread of the virus. The number of people infected are going up and up, so please keep you and your family safe by wearing a mask so you don't catch it. YouTube chat. Hey, you have to have a YouTube account. Basically, it's a Google account to chat. If you don't have one, I don't know if it's going to ask you to create one, but if you put a message in the chat over on this side of me, just put your call sign at the end so we know who's chatting. Also, it's good to put names to call signs. And also hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. The like button is down below here. Hit that like button so we get promoted more. And if you hit the subscribe button with the bell, it will let you know when we put out videos. Let's see, going down the list here. Also, just go ahead and give us a hey, you're here in the chat so we can take attendance with your call sign. Kevin is going to take attendance, so we like to see who attends these meetings. If you are a new tech or had an upgrade in the last month or so, put it in the chat so we can recognize it and give you a kudos and a shout out. And then also, if you're a first-time attendee in the chat, if you're a new member or haven't attended one of these meetings virtually, let us know so we can say hello to you. It's kind of hard to say hello virtually, but we like to shout out to people. If we were meeting in person, we'd ask the new people to stay after and just kind of get to know them a little bit better. Let's see. Silent keys. I don't know of any silent keys. If you don't know what a silent key is, it's someone who has passed on that was a ham radio operator. I don't know of any silent keys, but if you know of someone that we need to recognize, please let us know in the chat and we will announce it possibly where you can go get more information. Some housekeeping stuff. We've got an SLSRC website at slsrc.org. That's where we put all of our stuff. If you want to know about club events, what's canceled, what's not canceled, what links you need to go to. If you are going to do the Back to Basics, the link to the Hangout and the virtual session is on there. So everything is on the website if you need to find out anything about the club. We also have a Facebook, a Twitter, and obviously you're viewing a YouTube page. We have a YouTube. If we try and keep the Facebook and the Twitter, Rebecca does a really good job on putting that stuff out. So go find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And then also I want to make an announcement on STL Hams. If you don't know, if you're on Facebook and you need to sell something, you want help, you've got some equipment that you need to get rid of, the group STL Hams on Facebook is always a good place to start, where I'm not really sure how many members are on that Facebook group, but it is just the St. Louis area of hams. If you want to contact some people locally or bounce some ideas off anybody, you can go post something on STL Hams. First, I think you have to join, and then you can post. Moving on here, we have decided to cancel the breakfast. You can remember the breakfasts were the second and third Saturdays of the month. The second was at Midland, off of Midland Avenue, and the third was down in Sunset Hills. We, as a board, decided to cancel those during the first quarter of next year. So we will pick those back up in April. So you won't be seeing those on the calendar or seeing any invites. We'll ask Kevin to remove the automatic updates or email that go out via our mailing list, and make sure we get those removed. Hope everyone got to Gateway Electronics before they closed. From what I understand, they closed shop on the 31st. I don't know what happened to the inventory that they still had outstanding. Whenever I was there on the 20th, 29th, or 30th, there was still quite a bit of stuff there. So I don't know what happened to that inventory, but and if anybody wants to shout out in the chat on what was the guy's name that was always there? I forgot what his name was. Anyway, I asked him if anything was going to happen, if he was going to reopen, and he said, nope, we're totally done. So I think that Doug, thank you, Mark. Doug said that they were totally done. So sad that an era has closed. So I hope everyone got out to Gateway Electronics. Anything else that we did not cover? It's kind of a short meeting here before we get to the committee members to give an update. If you're looking for something to do on the ham radio bands, the ARRL sweepstakes is this weekend. If you like message handling traffic, if you're a part of ARES, this is the contest for you to operate in, because you have to give your, let me see if I can get this right, your call sign, your precedence, the year that you were licensed, and your ARRL section. So I think there's 4 or 5 things that you have to give as an exchange. Very good for message handling, and if you're part of ARES, you know all about message handling. So it's a good contest to operate in, and it's only North America, I think. Well, people outside of North America can contest, but you have to mark them as DX, I believe. So anyway, thank you, Bill. No TechNet this month. TechNet is on Thursdays, the 4th Thursday, and of course that is Thanksgiving. So we will not be having the TechNet on Thanksgiving, and so more information about the TechNet in 2021. We're gonna take a good look at the TechNet and figure out what the future holds for the TechNet. So thank you, Bill, for reminding me. Art says Gateway is selling inventory by appointment, bulk purchases only. Very good, Art. Thanks for the info. And I don't see any silent keys here. I don't see anybody that is new. All right. Very good. All right, let's get to elections. How about that? Paul, let me bring you in here. Pin the screen. All right, Paul, you are on. Oh, hang on, Paul. Hang on, Paul. Say that all again. I had you muted. Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining the meeting this evening. As you've all probably noticed over the last couple of months, I've been bombarding you with messages relative to the election that we're holding this evening and this weekend. So it's been a little bit unusual for the way we would normally do our elections. So we've had to come up with a online voting system where you're using a piece of software that we just used as a service. The emails will be going out to each and every individual member of the club at 8:30 tonight. So on about an hour and 40 minutes from now, you should get an email that will give you a specific voting opportunity. It is only your voting opportunity. It can't be shared, can't be reused more than once. So that way there will be integrity in the election. So we do have 4 roles that are open this year: the new ham, the board member at large, secretary, and president. And first off, I'd like to thank everybody who has stepped up and put their name in the hat for running for one of these roles. We are fortunate this year to have all of the roles with a candidate, unlike the last couple of years where we've had to kind of struggle a little bit at the meeting to get that done. So going to start off, what we're going to do is give each one of the nominees an opportunity to say a few words. When you get your ballot tonight, there will be a information button next to each name that gives you about 150 words of wisdom for each one of the nominees. Some of the folks I had to do my best to trim down what you gave me because they were a little bit more than 150 words, but I hopefully kept the meaning of what you were saying in there. But so you'll have an opportunity not only to listen to them tonight on the YouTube here, but you'll have the opportunity to look at what they have to say in writing as part of the ballot. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Larry Kiefer, WB0SMF. Had the great pleasure of getting to know him during one of the technician classes, and so he's going to be a candidate for New Ham. The New Ham role is a 1-year term. And with that, Larry, why don't you share a few words with us?
All right, thanks for the introduction, Paul. Again, my name is Larry Kiefer, call sign WB0SMF. I was originally licensed in October of 2019 as KE0YEH. I took my late grandfather's call sign after I got my own ticket as a tribute to him. I originally got into ham radio as a way to do something with my oldest son. His grandfather encouraged him to get his ticket, and I didn't want him to show me up, so I went ahead and took the classes as well, and we both got licensed on the same day. I upgraded to general in about January of this year, and immediately got on HF and have thoroughly enjoyed it. In that time, I've built a few UHF, VHF antennas, mainly for satellite reception, but also built my own HF antenna. I built a long wire that's been very successful for me. What I enjoy most about this club is the fellowship and the camaraderie that I get amongst all the members. Everyone here just has a positive attitude and just wants everyone else to succeed. And I greatly appreciate that, all the positivity that I get from this group. I really just want to be a part of that team. I like what we're doing in the community. I'm interested in serving in some of the public service roles, but also just gaining more knowledge for myself with the engineering committees and just all the things that we're doing here in St. Louis. I use repeaters all the time and was fortunate enough to be granted an HF rig from the club as well that I've put to great use using digital modes and SSB as well. But again, my name is Larry Kiefer, WB0SMF. I'd appreciate your consideration, and I just want to thank the current board for everything they do for us. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, Kyle, am I back on?
Yeah, you're back on.
Okay, great. So I'm going to move on to the next role, which is board member at large. Even year. Board members at large are voting members of the board. The person who gets elected tonight will have the great honor of running this election next year.
You say that with a smile.
Well, hopefully be a little bit more less challenging than trying to recreate the wheel we had this year. So the good news is, though, that we do have 2 candidates for this role. This is the only contested role that we have. So I'm going to start off with Art Lewis. And Art, I believe you were in one of our classes as well, were you not?
Yes, I have been.
Okay,
yes.
Great. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Art, call Kilo 8 ALL. So Art, go ahead and talk for a bit.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's the same thing. I've been a tech license for a little over a year. I got into it through first through Ecom through the CERT program. But once I joined this club, it's been great. As has already been said, everybody's been so helpful to me, answered my questions, given me direction. And I've gone on now to build several antennas and enjoyed field days and other exercises. And I look forward also to community service. And organization like this depends on volunteers, and I like to give back to the organizations that have supported me. And right now I am studying for my general license. Hopefully I will be testing down at Cave Springs shortly. But for now, that's where I am. My background is I started out as a research chemist at Mallinckrodt for 30 years, moved over to Monsanto, retired from there, and now I'm enjoying life. So hopefully I can give back to the club. Okay.
Gotcha.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Art. So the other gentleman who's running for the board member at large is William Bill Tuesdale, and I see him in the chat, and apparently we had a miscommunication to get him his link for the Google Meetings. So I'm gonna I guess we'll stand by a little bit, pass this up. Bill has been go ahead.
You want to resend it to him? You said that he didn't receive it.
Okay.
You want to resend it to him real quick, and we'll just move on to secretary and president, and then we'll come back to William. I
will do my best to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to have to restart something here to do that because I shut everything down when we had the problem before. So anyway, Bill, hang on. We'll try and get you something here shortly. So we're going to move on to secretary, and voila, this is another person who we had the honor of having in one of our classes. This is Pam Caldwell, and she and her husband were in one of our technician classes and have since moved on and gone all the way to extra. So Kilo Echo Zero Oscar Whiskey Golf is the call sign. Pam, go ahead and share with us if you would.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be with you. Bob and I have loved being part of SLSRC from the time we started our classes and took our technician and then general, and the club's just been wonderful and supportive, and we love the learning and the experience and also the community. We've met so many lovely people. So, we've done our best to be involved in various aspects of the club and of the community. And I felt the heart tug when Paul was asking for people to step up and think about, taking on a responsibility. And I've been a business owner and administrator for over 35 years. So, secretary fits in my wheelhouse, but we just want to give back. And so that's why I said, raised my hand and said, yes, I'd consider the secretary role. So I'm happy to be part of the club, and I'm looking forward to, participating in this new way.
Very good. Thanks, Pam.
Thanks, Pam. So with that, we're going to move up. I did just get, Bill, I just got you a resend on that. So please double check your Yahoo mail to make sure that you're in good shape. I'm going to then move on to the remaining role. Brendan Denny, KE0F Charlie Golf. Foxtrot Charlie Golf is been willing to nominate for the role of president. It's a large role and a very, very important role for the club. So with that, Brendan, let's let you have a chance to chat a bit.
Hi, I'm Brendan, KE0FCG. I'm a relatively new ham also. I got licensed back in 2015. But just like everyone else you're hearing tonight, I heard the call where the club needed someone to help with leadership. And I figured I would love to step in. Just like everyone else, I joined this club because it is really active. It's really great. Everyone is so helpful. My first couple outings of running to the club, my repeater, hitting the repeater, there would always be answers. put your radio on scan, you would hear traffic all day, every day, and get a chance just to chit chat with people. My first field day, everyone was so welcoming, got me on a radio, got me talking. It is the exact type of environment that I really felt like I needed. And I want to help support everyone else with it, doing the same. As I said, I'm pretty new as a ham. I don't even know my first real HF rig. I've done a couple of kit-built QRP rigs. And if you know QRP, you know that a kit built adds extra challenge on top of the challenge of QRP. So no contacts with the unit so far, but we'll get there. Other hobbies, I love the fact that club does the repeater games. It's a really low barrier to entry that anyone in the area can buy a radio that fits into almost any budget and hop out there and hit the repeaters, talk to people, and the games just give a little bit more encouragement to do it. Other than that, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity. I want to help everyone grow in this club, and I want to help the club continue to grow. I know it's definitely odd times for all of us. My day job is middle management in a company that produces concerts and live events, so that has gone away to pretty much nothing. So I've got plenty of free time to help out for a few years.
Very good. Thank you, Brendan.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Okay, so Bill's in the process of getting connected to us. So we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to fill airtime for a minute or two, just to remind everybody what the process is going to be on the election. As I said, at 8:30 tonight, you should be getting a email into the email that you have registered with the club. You will receive a ballot that is for you and you alone. We'll have the people on here who we've introduced this evening with a little bit of bio. There's also an opportunity, if you would care to do a write-in, or also to simply abstain from any one of the voting roles. You'll get a receipt when you send that in so that you can make sure that your vote was truly tallied. And then the results will come out. The election closes at midnight on Monday or Sunday night, so 000 hours on Monday morning. So you have about 2.25 days to do the voting. So it'll be there once that closes. We'll get the results, and you can look for that to be posted on the website, and I will follow up with an email shortly thereafter. So I appreciate everybody's tolerance on how we've had to manage this election this year. It's certainly different than we've ever done before, and look forward to having our new board put in place the first of the year, and moving forward, helping the St. Louis Suburban Radio Club continue to grow. I'm going to hang loose and see.
I think Bill's a little confused. He's asking for the code to join, and there isn't a code. It's the link.
Yep.
Bill, it's the link in your email from Paul. You just click it. It loads in a web page, and it'll ask you, what camera you want to use, what sound card you want to use, probably your default stuff, and then it should just automatically load in your web browser. Hopefully you're using Chrome or Firefox. I think that anything that's Microsoft related might give you fits. Well, Brendan, I would drop it in the chat, but then everyone joins. Because it's not, yeah. I don't want people to bomb the session.
So, well, why don't we go ahead and move forward with the rest of the club business?
Okay.
And then at the end of the club business, we'll see what we do it. And Bill, if you are still having struggles, go ahead and call me on the cell phone number that's in that email, and we'll try and help you out.
Okay, sounds good. Cliff, you are up. Go. Got on mute.
Am I live right here?
Yep, you're live. You're Memorex.
Well, good. Well, Paul mentioned the classes we've had, and Pam and Art and Larry were in the classes. So we're not having classes, unfortunately, but can you see my high grade graphics there? License study guides, education at slsrc.org.
Nope,
Those
we
are
got
the
him in,
ones.
got him in 8-bit.
I'm sorry, what?
He got him in 8-bit.
What is that?
8-bit.
Oh, okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Those are the study guides that we send out in advance of the class, and they only cover the possible test questions. And our motto or our theme for the classes for many years has been the object is to pass the test you can understand later, which all of us know I'm still understanding after 16 years. But education at slsrc.org, we have technician, we have general, and we also have extra. And of course, the extra one, it was new July the 1st. And once you are ready for testing, Cliff Cave is alive and well again, and they are testing in South County at a soccer field, or a soccer complex, actually. And their website has all of the information, cliffcaveve.com, cliffcaveve.com. And I'm also showing hamstudy.org, which I'm crooked here, hamstudy.org, which is sponsored by ICOM, so you know it's got to be good. They have study guides, and they also have practice tests. So local testing twice a month, cliffcaveve.com, and online testing and study guides is hamstudy.org. And last but not least, back to basics. The next one is December the 4th, Friday, December the 4th. It's the first Friday of the month, with the exception of January, which is New Year's Day. We're going to do it January the 8th. But December session will be ham radio safety. And that'll be safety in the shack, safety on antennas, electrical wiring, et cetera, so we don't fry anybody. And the going forward, I think I have the schedule. January will be testing procedures real quick with George, basic instruments, how to use them. February, activities in ham radio. And March will be the final session, other aspects of ham radio that have not been discussed. And then in April through September, we start the mentoring workshop again. And hopefully by then we'll be live. And that's it. I'm going QRT, and everybody have a good evening and stay safe.
Okay. Thank you, Cliff. I am going to, let's get back to me here. There I am. So I'm going to give, Bill and Rebecca are not here tonight. Bill is in the hospital. He is hopefully going to be released tomorrow. But if you want to give some thoughts to Bill, everything is okay. He's going to be released tomorrow, but they just kept him in the hospital for a couple more days just to make sure that everything was good. So we're missing Bill and Rebecca. Hopefully they are staying safe and everything will be okay. But I'm going to give the financial report in Rebecca's place. So we have $14,145 in checking. In our PayPal account, we have $3,582. In the CD that we put in the bank many, many months ago, that has earned us $993 in interest, which is great. It's at $25,993. We have $9,025 in education savings account. If you remember, we sold a radio that was donated to the club, and the person who donated that said that they wanted to use it for education, so we have used a couple $1,000s from that sale on education stuff for a total of $52,746.66 total. So the club, you're probably wondering why the club has that much money in the bank. It's because we are self-insured. If we would have a repeater go out, I calculated the repeater would probably cost around $15,000 to $20,000 to replace. That's just one cabinet. We have 7. So it is a lot of money to keep some of those things and all of the assets that we have in the storage locker up to date and in good working order. So because you're self-insured, you have to keep a lot of money in the bank. So that's it. Membership. Membership drive is going on. We cannot keep that dollar amount in the bank because we spend about $25,000 to $30,000 a year. So we need your help with memberships because we are not doing Winterfest this year, which is our main moneymaker. We are probably going to be in a shortfall, not from the bank account standpoint, but typically we earn a certain amount of money a year to help cover expenses, and we are not going to have that this year. So your membership is very important this year. If you go to the website, slsrc.org, and click on membership or renew membership under quick links on the right-hand side, you can renew your membership. So I highly suggest that if you have not renewed yet, that you go ahead and do that. That is a source of income for the club, and that's why we can do cool programs and all the education stuff that we do that hopefully makes us stand out from the rest. Let's see. I'm looking through the book of reports here, and from Bill's notes, and currently we've got, I think, 90 people signed up for membership. We usually have around paid members in the low 200s, and we typically have around 250, 260 actual members, because that is with life members, people that we give free memberships from the class, also family memberships. We count all that stuff in. Looking at the nets, I'm not really sure if Bill gives any attendance numbers on the nets, but it looks like we've been hovering. Actually, oh no. Oh, I got to scroll down. We've been hovering around 25 to 27 people checking into the nets every month. Don got the high score last week with 36 people checked in. I think that's the most we've had in a couple of months. Bill had a high of 37 back in June. And then also programs. So Sterling is tonight. I don't know what Bill has in store for 2021. That will be up to Brendan if he wants to keep Bill as the programs director. But I know Bill does a very good job in getting the programs all situated, and I think that he has got some tricks up his sleeve with programs in 2021. The nice thing, so it is horrible that we are not able to meet in person, but it's awesome from a program standpoint, as we can basically get anybody in the world to present a program. So we are going to reach out and do some things like Rod. Last month, Rod lives, I believe, in Hannibal, and he probably would not drive down here and give that excellent presentation, but because we did it virtually, we were able to get Rod and hear a bunch about Amelia Earhart, which was an awesome presentation. If you didn't see that, go back and watch the October meeting on YouTube. I am an engineering chair, so I'll give an update on engineering. We have not been able to do a lot of stuff. We've been working on our Arden network. Mark Hall has been doing quite a bit of stuff on the Arden stuff, Arden front. So if you're interested in learning more about Arden, drop me an email on at info@slsrc.org, and I will get you more information about Arden. And we're hooking it up with voice over IP telephones, and we've got some Raspberry Pis running. We're going to get some webcams, so maybe you could take a look at a bird feeder. Who knows what we'll do, but the possibilities are endless with Arden. Give me a shout if you're interested. And then also website. Tina does our website, Tina Hicks, and she does an excellent job. Everyone give a round of applause to Tina on the website. She does an awesome job. So if you haven't seen the website, go out. I think we're going to do a redesign sometime in 2021, and be looking for that. But redesigning the website is tough, but we'll get through it. Tina will do it. We gave Tina the keys to the castle. She's going to update the website. So in saying that, I think I am done. Paul, you want to come back and do a little?
Yep.
Hang on. Hold your horses. All right, gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, as all of us are technologically interesting people. We live in the world. We also realize that it can be a very difficult taskmaster. So we've been unable to get Bill connected up here tonight. But what I'm going to do is just give a little bit. His bio is going to be on the ballot as everybody else's is. But I'm going to give you some information about him. His call sign is Kilo Echo 0 SGS, easy for me to say, KE0 SGS. He is a technician license. He's had his license for about 2 years. Mainly interested in 2 meters and 70 centimeters with base and mobile. He's also looking to become active in 6 meters in his car at some point in the near future. And one of the questions I asked, and you'll see in the information there, is the reason for nomination. And his reason was very simply put: I want to be involved with the club, and this seems to be a great way to do it. And it is. You get to learn a lot about the ins and outs of the club, as I've learned this year. The role that Bill and Art are up for election on is the same role I have, only it's the even year versus the odd year. Everybody's always said I'm kind of an odd dude, so that's the way it goes. With that, Bill, we certainly look forward to having you on the ballot. His name will remain on the ballot because the ballots are in process at this moment in time, getting ready to come out to you in email. And we wish everybody that has put their name into the hat the best of luck. And we look forward to getting the new board in place. Thanks a lot, Kyle.
Thank you, Paul. All right, back to me. All right, anything else that we need to cover? If anybody wants to put it in the chat. I said Rob, I meant Rod. Rod Blockhouse. Blocksum. Jeez. A lot of stuff going on. We're like launching a SpaceX rocket here at Mission Control. All right. Moving on here. So we got Sterling. Let me get to Sterling's info here. Let me gush about him for a minute. All right. Sterling is an amateur radio operator that has dedicated his time to the advocacy and engagement of youth in amateur radio. Former ARRL youth editor, he currently serves as the youth liaison for the International Amateur Radio Union Region 2. In addition to these duties, he leads the Young Amateurs Radio Club, YARC, Youth on the Air, also known as YODA, and also helps coordinate between numerous radio organizations. And he runs a YouTube channel. You should check it out, N0SSC on YouTube, a blog, a podcast, works full-time as electrical engineer, has a dog, lives in the city, just shaved his beard off. What else? Went to Raleigh.
Shout out to my wife, Justin, for tolerating all of this too. So, yep, I went to
Very
Raleigh.
good. Went
Wearing
to
the green.
Raleigh. Yep. All right, Sterling, you are up. I will be quiet now, and the floor is yours. Thanks for presenting, man.
All right, thanks for having me. So I'm surprised I actually have a presentation, so you don't have to just look at my, naked beard or naked chin. Normally I have like a full beard, but it's Movember, mustache. I thought it was no shave November, but it's apparently shave everything but your mustache.
Right, it's shave November. Yep.
Yeah, so for men's health awareness and such. So excuse that look. If you don't recognize me, I was going to say I'm Sterling's Sterling's clone, evil clone twin, because Sterling has a beard. But you've got me. I actually shaved it. So all right. So I will share some slides. You've seen me before. Yeah. So I'm Sterling Mann. I've done all these youth things. Yada yada yada. I'm 28 years old, so I'm getting on the old side. I'm turning 29 in just a month, and less than a month. So I still have one more year before I'm, over that in my 30s. So thank goodness I have one more year of, hopefully not living in COVID pandemic, so we can, go and travel and party and stuff before things start to settle down, if you will. Let's see here. Present screen to share. So this is a presentation you have probably seen before. Amateur Radio's Next Generation. This is the this is what I gave to SLSRC in 2017, which is so many years ago. And this goes through kind of my shtick on what is going to be the next generation of young amateurs. And it's interesting that I have this brought up because we can get kind of a sit rep on how it's changed and how it's evolved, if you will. So here's all the stuff about me, like you heard, YouTube, Missouri S&T. I build fighter jets. I used to work at the VLA. I went to W0EEE. I mean, Missouri S&T, and I got to go on this YOTA trip. And I think most of you probably know that. YOTA stands for Youngsters on the Air. And in the Americas, it's called Youth on the Air, just because of the cultural difference and connotation of youngsters versus youth. But it was a whole trip of just young hams, like all under the age of 26, and I was 25 at the time, 2016. Somebody do the math. And it was a lot of fun. It was a whole week of it was a radio camp. It was a ham radio camp for young people in Austria. It was amazing, and it changed my life. And from that point on forward, I became dedicated to this idea of trying to almost like proselytize like amateur radio among youth, and try to get not just young people into ham radio, but to get the idea into the OMs and the YLs out there, everyone's mind, that we need to bring in more youth into the hobby because there's a problem. Here on this slide, it's the state of the hobby in 2019, and this poorly titled and axis slide just shows you the percentage of age of 3,000 participants randomly selected across the internet. It's sort of biased, it's self-selection and that sort of thing. But from all of the research that I've done, this is very much the curve of age in amateur radio. And so the question that we have in this data is say if you took this snapshot in 1970 or 1950, do you have the same youth or the same age graph? Have they always been old? And has this graph just maintained its static over the years? If you looked at say you took a snapshot of this every single year and you made a movie of it, does this just stay the same, or does the hump of the graph, the 65 and over, does that start really low down in the 1524s and then move to the left as time progresses, or move to the right, I suppose I should say. I always get my lefts and right confused. And if the first part's the case, then there's no problem. Ham radio has apparently just always been an older person's hobby, which can make a lot of sense. But if the latter is true, where that age has been gradually sliding to the right over the years, and I think a lot of hams will agree, like when they went to places like Hamvention and other conventions in the 70s and 50s and 60s and etc., they were a bunch of young people who got into ham radio because it was the technological thing to do. It was cool. It was fun. It was like one of the only way you could really get a message across. And even back in the 1920s, I had a really good conversation with an amateur radio historian whose name I'm missing from my short-term memory, but he was talking about basically showing a lot of pictures of all of the hams in the teens and 20s of the early 1900s that were kids like me, just tinkering around with radios and creating what we know as amateur radio today. And then so it must be that this age graph has been going slower and slower to the right. And what happens after, once you get 65 and over, what happens beyond that? Is this graph going to just constantly replenish the 55s, the 65s, the 45s and up? Or are we going to have to really put our initiative and all of our energy into trying to recruit across the entire age board and really focus on the lower end, the 15s, the 25s, the 35s, and even the 45s, and in that range, so that amateur radio exists in the future. And that's what I'm trying to do in a nutshell. I'm trying to make people aware of this problem, if you will. I don't really want to call it a problem because, I don't want to be ageist or anything, because I'm not saying old hams are bad or anything at all. But what I am saying is that we have indefinite lives, and if all of these hams in 20 years move on, then that leaves us with very few hams in the future. So we got to do something, and so that's what I've been trying to do. And so I've gone through this. You've probably all seen this presentation, and I want to more speak about the youth liaison, but I'll kind of just go through this really quick. I talk about what the issues are, and how to fix it and all this stuff. And this is really an example of one of the presentations that I give across the enterprise of the internet. So I suppose I've been on my YouTube channel and stuff. So if you want to see that, it's been recorded on my YouTube channel and on the SLSRC things. But I talk about the current youth activities, the fact that YOTA exists, YARC exists, Yacht, Scouting, the ARRL has some initiatives like CARRY, the Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative, things that don't work. And this is mainly focused on how do we recruit young people into ham radio. So talks about doing that at all ages, and then goes into things like that. So get rid of this slide and start talking about the liaison for youth. And before I do that, I'll kind of transition. In the last, how long was 2017 ago? 2017, 18, 19, 3 years ago, I gave that presentation. So now, how has it changed? Well, unfortunately, COVID happened, and so the events we had planned for this year are all postponed. But one of the big ones was the Youth on the Air camp that was going to take place in Cincinnati, Ohio, just north at the radio or the Voice of America Museum. And it's still planned for 2021, but we had to postpone it for obvious reasons. It's going to be a summer camp, just like the one I had in Austria, and just like the one that Youth or the Youngsters on the Air puts on every year in Europe and IARU Region 1. So we're going to do that, and it's going to be fun. The people who run the Voice of America Museum are gracious to have us there. There's a nice hotel nearby, and there's events like Dave and Buster's, Kings Island Amusement Park, and a few other things like scavenger hunts and whatnot, and a lot of radio activity, like a lot of workshops, a lot of getting your hands dirty and messy with, and building antennas and building radios and putting together go kits and emergency operation and WinLink and this and that and the other thing. So it'll be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for it. But for now, we've been doing a lot of things online. YOTA in Region 1. So I guess I should clarify, Youth on the Air and Youngsters on the Air are pretty much one and the same. It's just that Youngsters on the Air is IARU Region 1. I keep saying IARU, and they actually call it YARU, which is sometimes hard for me to pronounce. YARU. So YARU Region 1, which is Europe and Africa, that's where YOTA started. And they have been really successful over the last, I think, 13, 14 years of putting together things like the camp, things like the what do they call it? The December Youth Month, which is next month. Every December they have a big get together on the air for young people, and then things like the youth contesting program. So they've had a lot of really good success. Now they're doing online things, and they're trying to branch out into social media to try to deal with the pandemic like we all are. And all the while this is happening, this was after I learned about this after 2016. I started getting more into the nitty gritty, the sausage making, the I guess the Illuminati, I call it, of ham radio, the people who actually do some of the hard work to do things like recruiting and create activities and garner membership in terms of international activity and in terms of youth. And so a lot of people up in the I guess the hierarchy of YARU were like, hey, we should get the Sterling guy involved with something officially. Because in the whole meantime, I was just doing things. I was blogging, I was podcasting, I was doing presentations like this to radio clubs all over, and getting on interviews of podcasts and that sort of thing, just talking about youth and ham radio, and also starting putting helping to lead the Young Amateurs Radio Club YARC, and coordinating the YOTA camp here in the Americas. So at some point, they voted to have me come on and do something official, which is the IARU R2 Region 2 Liaison for Youth. And it's kind of like a youth coordinator. Are you yelling at me, Kyle? Or are you yelling at your dog?
Sorry, I'm yelling at my dog.
I have to do that too. No worries. And so let me find a little brief on.
I forgot that I wasn't muted. Sorry.
It's all good.
I'm glad I didn't say anything bad.
Get out of here, dog. Yeah. Oh yeah. So what did I have? I had some kind of like thing I could talk about, but then I closed it because I never keep things open like I should. Oh, it's right here. So this was there was a big old news article and things of like, what the IARU put out in terms of like what we need for the Region 2. And so me and Ward Silver, N0AX, everyone knows him, put together an outline for the IARU Region 2's executive committee. And let me just show my face here for a while since I'm just kind of blabbing my mouth. For the executive committee, which is the IARU Region 2 president, secretary, treasurer, that sort of thing. It's basically like SLSRC, but at the North and South American level. So they manage the. It's kind of hard to explain what they do, but they're the biggest. They're the top end, like one of three sections or one of three regions organization that puts together a lot of the guidance and collaboration and coordination between member societies, which are groups like the ARRL, like the Radio Amateurs of Canada, like the FMRE, which is the Mexican Amateur Radio Foundation. Basically, think of a member society as countries that are members of the IARU that have a radio club that is essentially the same way as a club like SLSRC is affiliated with the ARRL. In this sense, the club is affiliated with, or the international club like the ARRL is a member society of the IARU. And so they take care of a lot. I don't know. It's been only not too long, but it's been really interesting to see like how the sausage is made at the top level and how they provide things like guidance and reports and studies and research and aid and assistance to all the member societies in order to really connect and grow the global community of amateur radio operators. And so that's where the executive committee comes in, and they were like, we need to do something about youth, because there was this Tim Elm, what's his call sign? He's the president of IARU, which is like the whole organization. And he came up with this report saying there is an inflection point in ham radio where we are going to start seeing dwindling numbers of amateur radio operators because of technologies supplanted or usurped what we do in ham radio. So society's benefit is really degrading over time because of cell phones, the internet, and that sort of thing. And there's not enough of an emphasis or a drive to get youth involved. So there's an inflection point. We need to do something about it. And so all of the member societies or all of the regions came together and came up with some tasking. And me and Ward Silver came up with an outline to specifically attack the idea of getting more youth involved and getting more people aware that youth need to like be more friendly and more open to getting youth involved into amateur radio. So
what's you might have covered this, but what do the regions cover within the globe?
The regions cover the globe. So like Region 1 covers Europe and Asia, or Europe and Africa. Region 2 covers the Americas, North and South America. Region 3 covers Asia and Oceania. So all of Asia. So I think most of Russia, and then China and the Oceania, which is like, all of the islands and peninsulas and things, and Indonesia, and as well as Australia and New Zealand. And then you have the IARU, which is the organization that kind of manages. So it's like kind of a tiered. the top level, IARU, and then the 3 regions, and then the member societies under each region are kind of the hierarchy. And the IARU themselves, they're an executive committee that just kind of leads the charge on the regions, and then each of the regions provide different value streams of things like the youth working groups and a bunch of committees and sort of things like that. It's really just a copycat of any old radio club, just shot up to the higher levels that does a lot of like more or less flow down into things like member societies who could flow down into the affiliated radio clubs. So it's a really good place to like get stuff done and like to come up with the initiative or an idea and have IARU back it. And so that gives it some weight and some credence to like get that down into the grassroots, if you will, even though like grassroots means coming from the bottom up, which, is a thing that you can do. And that's what I've been doing before they had me come on, is just, putting myself on YouTube and such. So anyway, without further ado, what is this youth liaison thing? So like I said earlier, rambling forever. The liaison for youth is a youth coordinator essentially, but it instead of really coordinating activities and doing like a lot of hard things, which I'm a full-time engineer, like you said earlier, it's hard for me to like spend all of my time coordinating activities and coordinating events. So I'm more a liaison. I'm a person who can connect and contact people and collaborate and help them collaborate so that, I'm doing the best of my ability in my time, putting myself, giving myself the best chance to help out the, amateur radio environment or ecosystem as a whole. So the idea behind our proposals was to create some like localized events. So let me go to present again. So the goal here is to promote community between young amateur radio operators through online and offline meetings, through spontaneous groups and member societies throughout Region 2. And I won't read the rest of the slide, but essentially I'm a contact of individuals, between individuals, groups, and organizations in terms of youth engagement and advocacy. I'm here to connect and introduce people to each other, in order to create some new communities that can, come together with any particular bond or even geographic connection or cultural connection. I'm also liaisoning actually between the IARU and these little groups, and providing publicity and assistance for that sort of thing. So we're trying to develop meetings and events and develop on-the-air events and off-the-air events with this young operator theme to encourage young people to get into ham radio and be more involved. And when I talk young people, I don't mean kids. I mean people who are going back to that slide where you saw like the graph of the age of ham radio. I'm talking people all the way up to like age 40. Because I consider those young people, since they're part of the minority, I guess, if you will, of amateur radio operators in terms of age. So, but I obviously mostly focus on people my age because I know what the millennials are up to. But soon, I'm starting to get out of touch with the Zoomers nowadays with TikTok and whatnot. So, and then also this is just me. So I'm kind of the head of youth activities for IARU, I suppose is in a nutshell. And then I'm also trying to encourage the member societies themselves to come up with their own liaison or their own coordinators, so that I'm not doing the work of, 30, 40 different countries. But I can do the work of one person to connect those 30, 40, 50 people to each other and have meetings and liaison for them, obviously. So that's kind of what I'm doing in a nutshell. I'll admit I haven't done much, and this was actually put together in July. So I was officially indoctrinated, I suppose, if you will, back in July. But since work got busy, which is ironic considering, the state of the economy and things, the work for me has never been busier. I haven't had much time to put things together, but I've noticed that a lot of things have been happening in the woodwork. And because of this position, a lot of people have been coming to me to ask for help and interview me like this to get the word out more, which is a part of the whole mission. So I'm always really glad to be on to flapped my lid for a while about youth and ham radio. The Linux and the Ham Shack guys run a podcast, the Linux and the Ham Shack podcast, as well as the AD6DM. Dennis, he runs the Hamdom Thoughts podcast, and he had me on to talk about, my I guess upbringing, and then going into liaisoning for young people in Region 2. And so this is all like kind of a thing just to get Yoda all over the world, the Youth on the Air initiative all around the world, and I'm in charge of bringing that to the Americas, if you will. Here is a picture of, actually, I'm not in this picture because I slept in that night. We party hard in Austria, but this was like the 99% of the group of the Yoda attendees at that youth camp, and so they have a working group, and so I want to bring in a working group and start up some thoughts and ideas to bring in more youth in a ham radio. It's pretty simple. And to do this, we're trying to form communities and facilitating meetups in very small kind of like motorcycle gang or biker gang type factions, especially because we are a divided nation or divided continent. North and South America are hugely culturally different, and especially when it comes to language. Europe has it easy because almost everyone knows English. It's just because it's the lingua franca over there. Even though everyone speaks their own native tongue, it's just because there's so many languages, you have to learn English to be able to communicate for business. But in North and South America, North Americans, they know English. South Americans, they know Spanish or Portuguese, depending on if you're in not Brazil or Brazil and like the areas around it. And so it's really hard to connect the two continents, or to get to connect North and South America together, the two continents, right? Because of that cultural divide. So I'm trying to like really focus on Latin America, and that's Mexico on south down to Argentina. So all of the, Mexico, Central and South America, because I don't know what's going on down there. No one really does, because they all speak in Spanish and se hablo un poco español, and even less Portuguese. But I want to get the word out about what is happening out there so we can figure out what we need to do to bring in more youth in Latin America. Because in North America, it's already kind of settled. There's a lot of initiatives, a lot of groups, a lot of programs that are taking place. Yacht, Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative. Oh, there's probably a dozen other more. And I mean, even if you read through QST, one of the things that gives me hope for in the future is every August, I think, I don't know which month it is, but one of the issues every year has the recipients of the ARRL Scholarship Awards, and it's like 3 pages full of yearbook style, college students and high school students getting scholarships. And so that's a lot of people. And these are, there's a limited number of scholarships, and there's way more applicants for them. And so the Americas have it pretty well set. I don't think I need to do too much work, but since the IARU covers both North and South America, I definitely don't want to get too focused on the North American side. And I've already done enough work here. So I'm really focused on Latin America. Pam
has got a question around an age target. I asked her for a little bit more clarification, but she asked in the chat how young, how old. It might have been something you said, and I didn't catch it. To go back and jot down a note here, but is there age targets that you're trying to hit, or is it whomever will listen, or what's your thoughts on just age in general with what you're trying to do?
Right. So I have no real age targets. Youth is kind of a broad term. In general, the youngsters on the air kind of call youth anyone less than the age of 26. But for my purpose, I don't give it a number. I do kind of exclude very young kids, like under the age of 10. There are things in place for getting the kids that age into ham radio, mainly parents and scouting. And so I don't really focus on that too much. But for those who are starting to reach out and branch into the world, teenagers and 20 somethings and the like. That's where I'm putting most of my focus on. But even the 30s and 40 people in their 30s and 40s in their midlife, because there are a lot of, I still consider those young because they're still in like the age minority, because the chart that I closed earlier,
Right.
RIP, shows the
majority is in their 50s and 60s and above.
Yeah, the majority is like 50% of hams are above the age of 51, I think was the stat. And so anybody under the age of that is really in my mind youth. And I think there's, if you bracket it, you can think of children or teens, preteens, and from their 10 to say 15, and then 15 I can considerably open that gap up all the way to like 26 years old. And that's like the Yoda's kind of core working group is 15 to 26. And I guess in the US, it might be 18 to 26, depending on, rules and stuff. But in Discord, for example, Young Amateurs Radio Club, I think I'm the oldest one there usually. And the youngest one there is probably age 13, because that's as young as you can be to be on the internet, I suppose, without having to ask your parents.
Right.
So it's kind of a broad question, like what ages am I focusing on? Really, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying youth, and kind of keeping it vague, because even if they're in their 30s, if they're like, for example, Kyle and Kai Gasner, if he's out there, and K0TNX, Tom, I forget his name. We had like a beer club, and that was awesome. We should do that again when COVID's over.
Yeah.
But we would go out and get beer and talk about ham radio, and we were a bunch of young people. Even though, I'm 28, you're in your at least your mid 30s. Am I right? And then
I'm in my 20s. What are you talking about?
Oh
Sterling?
yeah, sorry. And everyone there had established lives and careers, so it could work for them. I'm not trying to exclude older people either, because that's not something I want to do. The older people in the hobby are the ones with the knowledge that need to flow it down into the younger people, and so that's why groups like Yark and Yoda, they are inviting to all ages. You don't have to be under any certain age to join or be a part. It's especially encouraged, especially if you can keep up with a chat that flows by at 1,000 messages per minute. That's been kind of the biggest thing that's keeping a lot of the older guard off by accident, really, is just because the way that the younger people communicate and interact is through things like Discord and chat and things like that. And it's harder for those who haven't been exposed to that at a young age to get on it and get used to it. So we are seeking ways to make that better, and things like these meetings, things like Zoom meetings and Google Meetups and that sort of thing are a way to do that, to connect, to bridge the gap. For example, Dan Marler, K7REX, Radio Echo X-Ray, does these weekly, actually twice weekly chats with really they're open up to everyone, but the section managers of the ARRL come together, and they bring in presenters from all across the walks of life, all across the nation, similar to what Kyle was alluding to about being open to the whole world and getting people involved, and that's open up to all ages, and it's brought in youth, it's brought in older folks, and it's brought in mid-age and the like. So sorry to ramble on about the answer to that question, but it's, I guess, a little more complicated than it sounds.
Yeah. I'm going to skip Mark's question. I'm going to ask it to you later, but you're on a roll here. Cliff has got a question. Is there any connection with STEM programs in schools?
In what part of my, I guess, initiatives there is, but the liaison for youth position specifically right now is a really mile, even more than a mile high, 1,000-mile high kind of view on the whole system. And but STEM in schools is kind of a primary tenet or totem pole, or whatever you want to call it, a primary part of the initiatives that I have in my mind, I guess, because those are easy ways. Amateur radio is a really easy way to bring science into the classroom. And so some of the YouTubers, like, Good Game, Steve Good Game is a high school teacher, or not a high school, he's a teacher at least. And he has a ham radio in his classroom and he uses it to educate his kids. Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, is a chemistry teacher. Same thing. He's got his, high school decked out with a ham radio club, and he runs their radio club. And Neil Rapp, by the way, is basically the entire brawn and brains behind the Young Youth on the Air initiative here in the Americas. I was just the pretty face behind it, but he's done all the hard work for sure. And then even SLSRC, we had that experience with what's his name? I forget all the people's names, but he came in. I was at that meeting when he came in, and he asked about, like, how do I get ham radio into my classroom? And he hung out with the SLSRC club for a while. And now he's down in Hillsboro or Hill something, or
it's
South.
Tom Laybourne, I believe his last name is Tom Laybourne.
Yeah.
Oh, Cliff just Thomas Laybourne. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly, and so it's a very important part of getting youth, of the bidirectional kind of getting youth into ham radio and getting ham radio into youth. It's a really good way to do it. And so, but I haven't myself reached out to people like teachers. It's something I should probably do, but right now I'm trying to find the idea that I have right now is to focus on, like, young people in all over the Americas, specifically more in Latin America, that can kind of drive little groups together, start a Discord chat, start a weekly net or weekly meet up or this or that, and meet and grow a community that can eventually merge together, and people can come together and, like, have meetings and grow the next generation of hams.
Right.
So
I don't know if you want to answer this now, or this might have another place for it. Mark Hall asks, how do you feel the $50 FCC fee will affect youth participation in ham radio? I don't know if they've passed it yet.
Not
but
yet.
It is it's being talked about.
Still under comment period, but, like, it's going to be terrible for young people. Even though it's $50, even though you say it's just how many dollars a year for 10 years, it's still something. And for young people who, like, are trying to beg or persuade their parents, like, that they should buy them, like, even a $25 radio in some cases, it's just, like, untenable for some families. And now a $50, like, the license fee is more expensive than the radio. That's going to be a lot of trouble for a lot of young people. Now there's plenty of, more privileged kids out there. It might not hurt so bad. It might be a good, incentive. It might be like a thing where it's like you pay $50 and now you get this, like, license to learn about STEM and science, but it's free right now. And there's no reason why we should have a $50 fee. And the rationale behind it is kind of bogus, because it's just like they're saying we're putting fees on all of the licenses, and ham radios included, because it's just another license. But the people doing the fee management do not have a clue what amateur radio does for radio technology and the radio spectrum in general. So it'll be a huge impact. Everyone's opposed. I'm sure they will listen. Not. So the $50 fee is probably coming. We'll see. I hope that they kind of, because Ajit Pai right now, even though he's gonna probably his days are numbered with the transition, he's actually helped out amateur radio a little bit. When we did remote licensing, Sam Hulick was kind of he was like the big tech CEO that kind of got behind our initiative. He had like a verified check mark on Twitter. He sent a message to Ajit Pai, the FCC commissioner or chairman, and asked about, are remote licenses, are remote exams legal and allowed, and this and that. And Ajit actually looked into it, and I think a couple weeks later they came up with a memo, a public notice saying, like, yeah, you can give a thing online. There's nothing stopping you. There's no reason why you shouldn't need to, like, or you shouldn't be able to, because literally, like, the FCC gave hams the power to give licenses and do whatever they want. And so all of our, turmoil was simply internal. A lot of people were saying this isn't FCC allowed and whatnot, but Ajit kind of called in, answered the question, came to our, I guess, aid and shut all the naysayers up so we could do remote licensing. So hopefully he's got our back. And we've also just today saw the ARRL report of the National Amateur Radio Day, or the World Amateur Radio Day, kind of. So there's an actual Congress, actual House bill in Congress right now that's talking about ham radio, and there's a mention about youngsters on the air. And so hopefully that will get passed around and somebody at the FCC will see that and yada, yada, yada. But I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen. I think it's going to pass. It's going to suck, but there's an opportunity there. People like clubs like the ARRL, the IARU, all of the member societies, they have quite a bit of money. And I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility to be able to have scholarships for amateur radio license fees.
Right.
Because we're already thinking about ways to get around it for young people, especially, and for the needy, for those who are not privileged and need the help. So just in case it comes to pass. So
is there a youth membership for the ARRL? If you are there is, and it's not the $45, it's a smaller amount.
Yeah, it's like a student thing. Let me look it up really quick.
Because I know that, if someone gets their amateur radio license, and let me bring myself in here. If somebody gets their amateur radio license and it's $50, and then they want to join the ARRL, that could be another, to get on the air magazine or QST or whatnot. That's another dollar amount that you have to fork out. So you could be out $75 just to be a radio amateur and belong to the ARRL higher club. Never mind maybe a due that you might have to pay for a local club. So let's say you're out $100. Well, that's $100 that you could have spent on a radio to get on the air. And we have the club here has hardship and student memberships also. So in saying that, I don't think SLSRC is part of the problem, but some other clubs don't allow you to do that.
Yeah, I was looking around and I couldn't find it because I had to type in a bunch of info, but there is a discounted membership for young people under the age of 21, I believe, or maybe it's 18. And there's also like family discounts and that sort of thing. So, and then, yeah, a lot of ham radio clubs have youth discounts as well, which is great. And I think if this comes to pass, then member societies and radio clubs are going to have to say, or not member societies, but the ARRL is going to have to be like, all right, you can get this $50 paid if you say, give us an essay, do something for it, just to make sure they're not doling out cash that, a person gets their license and doesn't do anything with it. You want to make sure the person has some real plans and some chutzpah behind them to get that license and actually use it. So things like that,
Right.
Or just kind of brainstorming.
Okay, good deal. Thanks.
So, but that only impacts the U.S. So the Liaison for Youth is international, if you will. So it's actually it's been crazy because you'd think that it's hard to become a ham in the U.S. because you got to pass a test and buy a big expensive radio. But when you talk about pretty much every other country, there's so many roadblocks, even like Brazil and Argentina, Peru, I almost said Uganda, Uruguay. It's there's so many more barriers, and especially in terms of socioeconomic barrier, because the gap between how I guess rich people, how wealthy people are is crazy. You have youth in Brazil and South America that are way below the poverty line, and those are the kinds of people that I want to get involved in ham radio in some way, shape, or form, because if they do, then they can make a new life for themselves, and you don't need expensive shiny equipment to get into ham radio. A lot of the people in these countries, and I'm especially thinking about countries like even India, China, and Oceania, and the Philippines, where they have basically the modern world throws all their trash out into the ocean, and it ends up in the Philippines, and the kids there, they tear it apart and they make things out of it, and even though that's kind of terrible to think about, they're tearing apart toxic materials and they're getting sick and they're doing this and they're doing that, but they do have this technological curiosity to actually. I've seen some stories of young children being able to put together electronics, to put together radios and TVs and that sort of thing from junk that just comes ashore or is in a dumpster, literally. And getting those kinds of youngsters on the air would be pretty cool to be able to like show them that there is a whole world of like these hobbyists, these technical hobbyists that are literally just out here to have fun with radio and to do the things that they do already. So go ahead.
Bill said he missed the beginning, but he asks, is the hobby picking up new younger members? I hear the overall numbers, at least in the U.S., is going up.
Yeah, numbers are going up, and here's my kind of here's what I think is happening because of COVID-19. We've had a big skyrocket in ham radio numbers from preppers, and that's not a bad thing. More hams is always a good thing, and more prepared people is a good thing too. But the problem with these preppers, and I try not to use prepper in a derogatory sense, a preparedness enthusiast, is that they will get a ham radio license, they'll buy a radio, they'll put it in their basement, and that's where it will sit until it hits the fan. And then they will pull out the radio, and they will not know how to use it, and it becomes paperweight for them. And these are young people. These are like people in their 30s and 40s, especially with families and stuff, that are getting into preparedness hobbies, to become more prepared in case we run out of toilet paper or in case we have pandemics, which here we are, which is a really good virtue to have in general. Like you should always have a plan, always be prepared. But we need to reach out to these people to get them into ham radio so that they actually know what to do, because they believe that if I buy a Baofeng, I'm going to be ready for when the cell grid goes down, the internet grid goes down, everything goes down. If I just turn this Baofeng on, somehow it's going to save my butt. But it's really not. And in fact, if there's things like widespread disasters, having a ham radio, it isn't like a lifesaver for you per se. It's a lifesaver for everyone, because we hams, we know about IMCOM. We go to those places and we rescue people, we contact, we communicate, we liaison, we establish communications. And yes, we do listen for those cries of help, but those cries of help are probably amplified by millions. And so which one do you pick? And we hams aren't designed to pick out and dispatch and do that sort of thing. We're technical, I guess. And maybe some people are in areas, and I'm not too familiar with how it all works, but from Mile High, that seems to be what a lot of people are thinking, like, get on a repeater, you'll get saved. And now, yes, when you go on to backcountry woods and you have a ham radio, and it's like the last thing after you tried your SOS messenger and you've tried to use your phone, and now you have a ham radio. If you can hit a repeater, you can call for help. That's for sure a thing you should have as a backup plan. But if there's widespread fires or a widespread earthquake or an asteroid or what have you, a whole bunch of preppers are going to come out on and clog up the repeater saying, I need help, my leg's broken, I'm on fire, I'm having a heart attack, yada, yada, yada. And no one's going to be able to get help because it's going to get clogged, and so no one's going to be able to use those systems because they assume that it's just going to replace cell phones and yada, yada. So I kind of rambling on there. In a nutshell, yes, they're going up, and yes, they're getting more younger, but they're becoming less active because they're more into prepping rather than technical amateur radio. In terms of younger people, like under the age of 26, I think the Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative has helped a lot. I think YouTube channels like Ham Radio Crash Course and N0SSC and even Kyle it has and a whole bunch of other people have really increased the numbers. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell from an FCC perspective like what the age of those licensees are. ARRL does some surveys, but they don't really publish. They haven't published their results in a long time. VECs do also put, like, they have records of like birth dates and stuff, but like they don't publish those data. So it's like really hard to see what's happening. So as far as I know, I still need to keep recruiting for young people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
So hopefully this is like entertaining to everyone's ears. And I knew I was going to come in and just start rambling about youth and ham radio, but just to kind of give everyone the warm and fuzzy feeling that things are happening, and there's some plans being made, and there's these meetups happening, and I'm trying to focus on Latin America and work on my Spanish and that sort of thing to get more more youth involved. And right now I'm done presenting, and so I'll just talk to you, the listener, the viewer out there. You're probably aging, you're probably older than me. And even though that you're not a young person, I still need your help. This is like one of the big tenets of my conversations with hams out there, is to consider recruiting and being more friendly to youth and young people out there. Because we have way too many horror stories of young people coming into radio clubs and getting just scared off by mean old men and scary, grumpy curmudgeons because, for one reason or another. In fact, like I have a horror story of my own. And unfortunately, when I grew up, I didn't have a horror story. I was invited to come down to the WA0FYA, the Washington Zero Beaters Amateur Radio Club, and they adopted me as one of their own. They showered me on radios, and I did all the right things. But there have been cases that I've seen while, I've been growing up and being parts of radio clubs where, young men and women will come into a radio club meeting for the first time, and they will, for example, this one lady at my company radio club came in, and she was very young, like probably in her early 20s, like I was, just got hired into the company. And the first interaction she had was with this guy who came and just said, "Hey, you're a YL. We need more YLs like you in the hobby. Are you a ham yet?" And she's obviously like a ham. She's very technical. She's an electrical engineer. It's like she was just like put down like too many notches at that moment. She's never been back to those club meetings. And I don't blame her, because that was kind of like, I watched and I'm just like, are you kidding me? And so her and I talked, and I was like, it can't be that bad. And so I give her backdoor access to the amateur radio club, and so she doesn't have to see the cranky old man. But that's one of the examples of things that are happening all over the place of young people. I mean, if you look on Reddit, if you look on Twitter, and if you look on these social media places of like, thanks, bye, and thanks for all the fish. It's like young people are getting into it. They get into a club. They get ostracized because they're young. They get on a repeater and they do something wrong and they get kicked out. They get ostracized. I'm just saying it's an urge from me to you to be more friendly to young people. If you hear a young voice on the air, give them the benefit of the doubt. They might be an extra. Just ask Cliff about the story of me, and be friendly and welcoming, especially in terms of an inclusive, diversity awareness, that sort of thing, because more and more youngsters nowadays are more open in terms of their, gender, sexuality, their race, their it's just like kind of goes the whole gamut. Things that you might consider weird or strange are completely normal. Just yesterday, it was Trans Awareness Month or Day, and a lot of hams that I've interfaced and interacted with, especially on Discord, a lot of young hams are trans, are gay, or bi, and that sort of thing. Not like that's important, not like they bring that up on a repeater, but just be aware if you think that's odd or weird. If somebody comes in to a radio club meeting and their hair is dyed pink and they have a nose ring, welcome them in. They are a fellow ham. They want to get into ham radio and enjoy the things that you enjoy. Don't exclude them for their differences, their beliefs, whatever. We're all hams here. So I think that mentality is really going to help us best in the future. If we can all be friendly and nice to each other, youth will come to us, and I don't think we'll have to do too much work. So that's kind of all I have to ramble on about. It's almost 8:30, and everyone should be getting that email to vote for their people.
Yeah, very good. All right. Yeah, thanks, Sterling. Very good. Congrats on the appointed position, and hopefully we will be seeing good things out of you in North America, South America. Yeah,
I'll try.
Keep us up to date on your doings and what you've accomplished, and hopefully we can bring you back and you can give a laundry list of all the things that you've done and helped out with. And yeah.
Yeah, will do. Also, I forgot to mention in the beginning, like I'm hardly ever on the air. I'm a really bad hand because I do very little operating. But I finally put a radio in my car, so I've been chatting to a few people on my commutes. I still commute into work every day, so between the hours of like 7 and 9 and 4 to 5, you can probably find me. I'm just scanning the repeaters, so shout for me.
Okay,
I'll probably be there.
Very good. Very good. All right. Thanks, Sterling. Anything else for Sterling? If not, we're gonna let him go so he can get on with his Friday night.
Oh yeah.
I'm not seeing anything, but Sterling, if you want to hang out in the chat for a bit and answer some questions if people have them.
I was not anticipating many questions because a lot of times when I talk about youth and ham radio, the crowd is just dead. Like,
Yeah.
no one wants to talk about it. I guess it's an elephant in the room, or no one's interested, or they're just so blown away at whatever I have to say that they are just like, wow, that was a fire hose. I don't have any questions, but maybe later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If anybody has any questions or how they can help or give you ideas, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, well, that's easy. Just Google N0SSC. I'm good on QRZ. N0SSC.com. I have a contact page. Sterling at N0SSC.com, or basically anything you can put into, like anything at N0SSC.com will go to me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on the Facebooks. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. If you just Google, and I'm there. So you know how to find me.
Yep. And if you can't get a hold of Sterling, you want to give an email to info@slsrc.org, it will get to Sterling. I guarantee it.
I think I even have an SLSRC, N0SSC at slsrc.org. So
you do. You have an email address. So
yeah.
You've got like 20 of them. So
gosh,
I keep on forgetting which one to email.
I do too sometimes.
All right. Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Back to me. All right. So that's it, boys and girls, dogs and cats. Anything else that anybody wants to talk about? The voting emails have been sent, so take a look in your inbox. If you are, I'll give you this, if you are a member, a paid member for 2020, and you did not receive a vote, please email me at slsrc.org with your name and your call sign and your email address that you expected to receive said voting email from or to, and we will make sure that it got on the list. We took all of the emails of what you gave us whenever you signed up for a membership, and that's what we used. So if you, my email just arrived. So if you did not receive an email and you're a member, current member, please let us know, and we will get a vote out to you. All right. Anything else? I don't think so. All right. I'm going to shut her down. Thanks for everyone for attending. Appreciate it. One thing that I did not mention, I should have mentioned this. I'm sorry. We are having, instead of the holiday party, we are having a trivia night. So I will host the trivia night. It will be done on, I'm going back and forth if we're going to have it on Zoom or Hangouts. But anyway, we are going to play ham radio trivia. We are going to open a Kahoot. If you do not know what a Kahoot is, it's basically you can play trivia on the phone. I ask the questions on the web. I will present the questions, and then you answer the answers, or you answer the question on your phone or a tablet or your computer, and we will play trivia that way. So it will be free of charge. You can bring your own snacks. It will be done in your home virtually, and the more the merrier. So I will host probably 3 rounds of trivia. If you want to send me trivia questions, you're more than welcome to send me those, and we'll get those incorporated. But that will be December 11th, Friday, December 11th. So that is the date that we will have trivia. So anyway, that is all that I had. Anybody else? Yeah, Google Kahoot. Google AA0Z Kahoot, and you'll see some of the Kahoots that I play. I play trivia online on my YouTube channel every 3rd Friday. This year, or this month, it's going to be on the 4th Friday. It's going to be on Black Friday because we're here the 3rd Friday. So I had to push it off. So if you want to learn to see how we do the Kahoot, you can Google my call sign, and it will be on my YouTube page. We will do something like that, but we will not stream it. It will all be private, so you none of you will be out on the net. So anyway, that's all I had. Everyone vote. It's your membership duty to go out and vote for new board members. So that's all I had. Thanks, everyone. See you later.